Sir Ian McKellen, Johnny Vegas and Victoria Beckham spend Friday night with Jonathan Ross here on BBC One at 10:35. But first, some strong language and another guest in the chair.
Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Gyles Brandreth. In the news this week, for a special Christmas treat, Tony Blair shows the Cabinet slides from his holiday at Cliff Richard's villa. The government launches a controversial new public safety campaign to encourage children to wear crash helmets. There's a shock for David Furnish as a female fan produces evidence of her affair with Elton John. With Ian Hislop tonight is a comedian described by The Guardian as a very beautiful boy, by The Stage as looking like a porcelain figurine, and by The Scotsman as a middle-class English ponce. Yes, my kind of guest. Please welcome Chris Addison. On Paul Merton's team is a presenter who recently left changing rooms, leading show business sources to suggest she may become the new Anne Robinson. What's the opposite of makeover, I wonder? Please welcome Carol Smilie. Round one seems a good place to start. Paul and Carol, what's going on here?
They have captured Santa Claus.
Oh, look, yes. Another changing rooms makeover. This week we're into Crit.
That's some of his enemies. So Saddam Hussein's been caught and shaved and examined orally.
What was his last meal? Do you know what his final...
Mars bar and sausages.
Tomato salad, I'm told.
Well, you're told wrongly.
Why not? Because he's not a vegetarian?
He's not a vegetarian. He doesn't like tomatoes. He thinks they look like pig's genitals.
And do they?
I've not taken close enough interest to find out.
What were Saddam's first words?
Coming ready or not. Your turn. I'll count to 100. Go, go, go!
He said, don't shoot. And then he said, I'm the president of Iraq.
And what did the Americans say?
I think they were so shocked they said, President Bush sends his regards.
They can only talk sarcastically, the American military, now, can't they? They can only talk in that kind of slightly gung-ho way. We got him! Well, that's dignity.
Al Jazeera actually spent the whole week running old film of him saying, you must fight to the last bullet and die. And then next to it, there's a picture of him coming out going, don't shoot. Not a good day for Arab pride, really.
No, there's quite a lot of memorabilia being produced. There's one of the T-shirts. Anything else come out, do you know?
A Saddam action figure.
Indeed, we've got one of those as well.
Why is he a gay bodybuilder? Working out down in the hole.
Absolutely.
It is indeed the discovery of Saddam. Before dashing to his hiding place, Saddam had clearly been surprised by the sudden arrival of 600 US troops. According to the Daily Telegraph, a meal lay unfinished on the floor, and nearby was a washing line hung with a pair of damp trousers. Well, you can't really blame him, can you? After Saddam was led away, the Daily Express reported our driver entertained himself by using the president's toilet and sampling his pistachios. Hopefully not in that order. Ian and Chris, this one is for you.
Europe, I think. It's that good. It's Berlusconi, shaking hands, just check your wallet. And there's the new constitution for Europe. Or rather, it isn't, because it's been scrapped. It was a terrific Euro success of the type we're used to.
The type you like, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no, a flop's good for me.
Mr. Blair got close and cosy with somebody. Who was that?
Berlusconi.
With Berlusconi himself. In fact, we've got a shot of them getting close.
That That's very close.
Do you know what Berlusconi tried to do to sort of cheer things up a bit?
He made a joke.
He did. He waved his arms about in an extravagant way, and then eventually he told a joke about a helicopter. I was told that you would know this.
It was so hot I turned the fan off.
No. It's the one about I could make an Italian happy by throwing a 10,000 euro note out of my helicopter. I could make 10,000 Italians happy by throwing 10,000 euro coins out of my helicopter. And at which point the pilot pipes up, why not make everybody happy? We throw you out of the helicopter. The thing that went wrong with the joke was...
Pretty much what went wrong there.
It was worse than that. He told this joke 24 hours after the Polish Prime Minister
Had a helicopter accident.
had a helicopter accident.
He shouldn't be allowed to speak, Berlusconi. He just shouldn't, or at least not to other people.
Yes. According to The Sun, Tony Blair was privately delighted that the talks had collapsed, and he is hoping that the issue will be postponed until long after the next election, when Prime Minister Brown can sort out the mess. Or who knows, Prime Minister Boris. Paul and Carol, you're clear for takeoff now.
OK, that's an airport. That's probably Heathrow, could be Gatwick. Oh, it's planes.
Stansted.
Yeah, Stansted. Do you think it was Stansted? OK,
Yeah.
it was Stansted. Alistair Darling, the man who dyes his eyebrows.
He's
Dyes his
dying.
I think we're being led towards the
Bit
idea
tight.
of planes and airports, don't you think?
Absolutely, this
Let's go
whole,
straight into number 34, Acacia
runways.
Terrace. Look at that. Heathrow wants another terminal.
But you
and-
have to first prove that there's no problems with the sound for people who live nearby.
How do you prove that?
You ring them on the doorbell, and if they don't answer, you know there's a problem.
There's been a suggestion made that the government should pay for away days, little trips to the seaside to make up for the fact that they can't hear 300.
Or trips abroad, hence the need for another runway.
Stansted, Birmingham, Heathrow, possibly Edinburgh, all to be extended.
Not Glasgow, though.
You are regularly flying
I am.
in and out of Glasgow.
3 times a week.
Really?
Roughly, yeah.
And then I understand you end up on a motorbike? In the leathers and all that?
Giles.
That was a dream, Giles.
What other anniversary of an aeronautical kind has been taking place?
Oh, it's 3 days since Vinnie Jones was sent down for being a celebrity on a plane.
Vinnie Jones's air rage is not the answer we're looking for.
It's a
Kitty
good
Hawk.
story, though.
Wright brothers.
The Wright brothers, yes?
They tried to recreate it, and it didn't work.
We can actually see that special moment.
OK.
Fantastic.
George Bush was watching that.
And John Travolta.
John Travolta, why was he there?
He's a pilot.
He has been asked by NASA
To become an astronaut.
to become an astronaut.
That's what they told him.
Get off the planet.
Yes, this is the government's plan to expand the nation's airport runway capacity. Irene Jones, who lives 1.5 miles from Stansted Airport, attacked the government's plans to increase air traffic, complaining the noise is already too loud. It sometimes drowns out my TV. I said, the noise is so loud, it sometimes drowns out your TV, Mrs. Jones. Ian and Chris, who's back in the fold?
This is Ken Leamington. There he is, being applauded for walking. That's Tony and Gordon being hit by big black lightning. That's Ian McCartney, who's a fat man. Ken Leamington is to be allowed back into the Labour Party so he can be candidate for mayor. He ran against their official candidate last time round.
Do you think this is a surprise, given what Blair said about him?
What did Blair say about it?
Oh, would you like to know what Blair said about him?
Well, if you don't mind.
And it is because I believe passionately, I may be wrong, but this is my genuine belief, that he would be a disaster for London, a financial disaster and a disaster in terms of crime and policing, for which the mayor will have a big responsibility.
There you are. Tony Blair, the man with no reverse gear.
Lots of people are very unhappy in the Labour Party. I presume that's what the lightning was in the question, because half the cabinet thought we've thrown him out, we don't want him back.
What did Ken himself say about this?
He was just laughing, wasn't he?
Oh, he had something actually quite meaningful to say. He said, I am what I am.
And what I am needs no excuses. Is he going into a gay musical review? Standing for Mayor of London.
I am what I am, the government is what it is, we have disagreements, there are some people who get married, get divorced, and then after a few years apart, decide that they miss each other terribly.
Is that meaningful or trite?
Who has graciously withdrawn to ease his passage?
And this woman... There's no way of answering that legally, is there?
Who stood aside?
Nicky Gavron.
Nicky Gavron, yes, absolutely.
Basically, Labour want to win again. They don't want a series of elections, the European elections and the London election, where they lose, because people start thinking Labour lose. So rather than have a Labour candidate who loses, you get Ken in, who's not very Labour, but he might win.
The Daily Telegraph described Tony Blair's hopes that the readmission of Ken Livingstone would have a healing effect that will reunite the Labour Party. There followed a list of those who opposed the move: the Chancellor, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary. And the Education Secretary, the Labour Party Chairman and the Labour Chief Whip. Well done, Tony. This one's another winner. So, at the end of that round, the scores are, goodness, Ian and Chris have 4, and Paul and Carol have 4 as well.
Good.
And so to round 2, which this week takes on a seasonal flavour with the Christmas tabloid trivia quiz. Fingers on buzzers, please. Why might Have Yourself a Smelly Little Christmas be an appropriate song in Siberia this year?
There's been a spate of people stealing trees from the forest, and so they've sprayed them with a special substance, which is fine in the outdoors, but once you put them into the living room and the tree starts to get warm, it starts to smell. They put the Christmas tree in the corner, their central heating's on, they go, "Has Granny arrived?" No. It's the tree, and that's the idea behind it, smelly Christmas trees.
Well, Granny Merton, have a really happy Christmas. We won't be coming round.
Neither will she, she's been dead 30 years.
Next, according to the tabloid press, the majority of British companies are frightened of hosting Christmas parties this year for 3 particular reasons. Can we name any one of them? Yes.
They're afraid of being sued. If somebody makes a speech and says, "I'd just like to say that I've always thought that Mr Palmer in sales is a great big puff, and I've had a lot to drink, and if Mr Palmer in sales isn't a great big puff, he can sue." And so they don't want to be able to be in that position where they've got to sort of defend all these legal actions.
Well, spot on. Any advance on that?
Photocopier damage.
Yeah.
Photocopied bits of you on the photocopier?
I've done it in a photo-me booth. It's hard because you've got to get up against the wall.
You've got the adjustable seat, so you can,
Oh, that's true. The adjustable seat. Have you done it?
Yeah.
When you're at Glasgow Airport waiting for a delayed flight, in the phone, it's a Christmas card, send that off.
Next, what is this?
Now, if it'd been Carol Vorderman, I could have told you that.
Except I understand that you too are a member of Mensa.
Don't even go there, please.
I couldn't, I'm not eligible.
I'm not a member of Mensa, I never have been a member of Mensa, and I cheated on the test. OK?
Cheated? How did you cheat?
I was asked by a newspaper many moons ago when I was first doing Wheel of Fortune. They thought, let's do a competition about how stupid game show hostesses are, and I thought, not so stupid. So I cheated.
Stupid enough to admit it on television.
Later, it's OK. It doesn't matter.
So
now.
how did you cheat then? I mean,
I got a friend to do who's already a member of Mensa.
OK.
This is the formula for having a happy Christmas with relatives.
Explain, extrapolate.
C is the amount of cake you eat. Divided by L is lager.
Yeah.
5 times watching the Queen. On a loop.
And it all equals no fun.
You're pretty close.
It's no fun at
but
all.
C isn't for cake, it's for something
Crackers!
else. Oh, this is
Such
suddenly...
childish enthusiasm.
Fantastic. Suddenly the show has caught fire.
this was the bit when you weren't talking.
Crackers it is.
How do you get all the presents out of the cracker?
Yeah, it's a formula for doing that. And in fact, there's a diagram that goes with the formula.
It's very unfair, isn't it? That suggests that tall people, if they hold a cracker, always do it correctly. Boom. Big fun.
You might say that,
Incorrect
Ian, you
short
might.
people. Oh, no, I haven't got the hat or the toy or anything.
This explains so much, doesn't it? Nicole Lander, head of corporate affairs at Woolworths, said, "Most of us want to win when we pull a cracker, although most of us get over it when we don't."
Not all of us.
Next, but we're still with crackers.
Yep.
When the staff of Workington Council pulled their crackers at their Christmas lunch the other day...
They got things saying, "fat bastard." And Somebody had gone round. Somebody had gone round and opened the crackers, because if you, as every kid knows, if you pull crackers very gently, they sort of expand and you can tip everything out. They'd taken the joke out and wrote, "You'll get yours, fat bastard, hope you have a shit Christmas."
According to the Sun newspaper, who's been blamed for this?
Is it asylum seekers?
Pranksters.
Those pranksters.
Which is... do you know
They're
them?
always up to something.
One of the offending cracker messages did indeed read, "You're a fat bastard." And another, "You've not won anything, so Apparently they were originally designed for the Pop Idol end-of-series party. Next, can you explain this?
It's Christine Hamilton and Neil Hamilton in a bath.
It's their Christmas card with strawberry jam.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's their personal Christmas card. They've
You're
done
lucky
it,
the Blairs didn't have that idea.
they've done it, in fact, in aid of the British Heart Foundation.
So it's all right, it's for charity.
Looks like she's just given him a heart transplant. Horrible.
Other Christmas cards in the news this week, you suggested, Ian?
The Blairs, they got a few Christmas cards out. 2, I think, depending on whether you're very matey or you're not quite so matey.
Yep.
W.H. Smiths have got a few out, I noticed.
Any of you receive a card from the Blairs?
No, did you?
Chance would have it.
You did. And which one did you get?
I got the family card.
Oh, you must be like that.
Yep. I am a personal friend of Cherie. She's a very lovely and brilliant woman. It just takes a bad photograph.
How many... You're not going to be getting one next year.
The Blairs' Christmas card features Tony Blair on a 5-seater bench with his family trying to look natural, whereas the Prescott's Christmas card features John Prescott on a 5-seater bench with his family trying to prize him out. Next. What sort of diet are we all going to be force-fed on Christmas Day?
Is it a diet of repeats?
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing on Christmas Day.
Why not?
Well, if it's the snowman, then that's very important. And if it wasn't on, I would be complaining.
Yeah. Snowman is some sort of role model for you? Or?
It is. Yes, I look up to him.
We've got quite a lot of Room 101 on Christmas
a lot
Day.
of them, not on one day, I don't think. I think being repeated over the Christmas holidays.
Is this good news for you?
In the extent that I get repeat fees, Giles, yes.
That's good news.
Try and look a little happier about it. Yes, you're right, repeats. Anything you'd like to see on Christmas Day and don't?
I'd like to see the Queen truly drunk. And everybody else is sitting down at 3 o'clock, full of Christmas dinner, pissed out of their head. She's the only one sober in the entire country. That's only because it was recorded in November. Wouldn't it be great if she just wore a little paper hat, a paper crown, just slid down with it? One's had a bit too much to drink.
And finally, according to an army captain this week, what sort of behaviour don't you get from Dame Vera Lynn? Paul and Carol.
Oh, this was the model, what's her name? Nell McAndrew?
Nell McAndrew.
McAndrew, who went to Iraq and didn't like the state of the 5-star tent she was given. And so she left, and they were very disappointed, because our boys over there wanted to see her walking around in not much clothing. So in the end, Jim Davison had to do the gig.
She didn't like the look of the toilet. It was very specific.
Really?
Which, in the middle of a desert, isn't too good, really. And they said Vera Lynn would have just got on with it and sung There'll Be Bluebirds Over the White Cliffs
That's
of
the
Dover.
thing about Vera Lynn, she'd have a shit anywhere. Plastic bucket, Brighton Beach, she's a pro. She's a pro. She's done the Royal Variety performance. She shared a dressing room with elephants, she has, Vera. The White Cliffs of Dover wouldn't be so white if you let her near them, do you?
Carol, have you entertained the troops?
Well, in a very small scale, but we'll not go into that.
The odd one out round is next. Paul and Carol, your 4 are Simon Hughes MP, Sooty, Frank Bruno, and the Rita Proctor Tina Steppers.
This has got to be pantomime, I would imagine, being the Christmas season. And certainly we know that Sooty and Frank Bruno have done panto. And Frank, I think, is doing a panto this year somewhere.
Is he?
He thinks he is, but... And he is. Is it something to do with pantos?
It is certainly to do with pantomime, but there's something special about the sort of role they might play.
Sooty's the odd one out.
The reason being...
He always plays himself.
Is the right answer. You've performed with Sooty, haven't you?
I have. I was doing a sketch with Handy Andy and myself, and we had to have a paint fight, which was actually great fun. We have to actually throw paint at the wall and not pretend it looks good.
So on train, you hinted in changing rooms, you sometimes walk into the room beforehand, you think, oh, God, this is really horrible.
And then you realise they've already done it.
Yeah.
Do you like it when people cry?
Ian does.
Ian.
No, videos those bits and keeps them.
You did a neighbour of ours.
Did
who,
I?
Who did cry. She was so upset.
That wasn't the couple who did the sex phone lines and the...
No, it was... She had this quite nice sitting room, and then afterwards she had an Australian outback theme
I
room.
remember that one! I remember that one! She had a lampshade with corks hanging off it. And
awful.
It was terrible.
Just terrible.
She did cry, that was
And it all fell apart. It was like...
Well.
So the worst sort of DIY. They were quite smart, our neighbours. They got the Daily Mail to run a piece about it and then redo the room back to where it was.
Yes, they are all appearing in panto as various characters, apart from Sooty, who is playing himself. Sooty made his debut in 1952 with Harry Corbett. According to Sooty's website, Sooty was mute, but he could always communicate with Harry. But to be fair, we only have Harry's word for that. Simon Hughes' manifesto for the forthcoming elections for London Mayor offers a number of promises on public transport, including an end to 3 buses all at once. I don't know. You wait ages for a manifesto promise, and then it's a crap one. Ian and Chris, your 4 are Bernard Jenkin MP, Jack Nicholson, Esther Ranson, and Sooty.
Bernard Jenkins has been in the news recently because Richard Curtis always calls a character Bernard in his films, because Bernard Jenkins once took a girlfriend from him. Ooh. And ever since, this is true apparently, there's always some stupid character in the films called Bernard, who's a bit of an idiot.
He should let that go.
Am I on the right track?
The presence of the clothes, or indeed the lack of them, would be relevant. What does Sooty normally wear?
Bare skin.
Yes!
Is that it?
The others normally wear clothes because they're human beings.
You're not going to get this.
No,
I'm surprised. The answer is that they've all experimented with naturism. Apart from Sooty...
Esther Ranson's taking her kit off.
Yes. Yes. Who is Bernard Jenkins?
He's a Tory MP, so I suppose one should believe just about anything.
Bernard Jenkins was the helper of Ian Duncan Smith, and it was revealed by the Daily Mail that he also two-timed as a naturist. Not totally naked, because he liked to wear his gumboots.
Where?
What about Esther?
Well, that's what I want to know.
When did it happen and how?
I don't know. I've known her a long time and never knew that.
Well, you weren't at the birthday party. It all began when she took a glass of Kahlua. It's all it took, apparently, to get her and her husband to run naked into the sea.
Was she living near the sea at the time, or was it a 10-mile run through heavy built-up areas?
Sooty, of course,
Yes.
is permanently naked.
He is, yes.
Except in this picture.
Yeah.
As the furrier intended. We can see him actually in a range of clothes. He's got quite an extensive wardrobe. Here's Sooty as a degree student,
Yeah.
looking to magic away the top-up fees. Here's Sooty as a High Court judge.
Well, that's very unconvincing. He's awake.
Jack Nicholson recently revealed that he'd given naturism a try. He told a reporter, "I did an experiment. I lived in my house as a nudist." That's not an experiment, Jack. That's bath night. Missing Words is the final round, featuring this week's guest publication, American Cake Decorating Magazine. Sold in hundreds and thousands. So, here we go. What will cost you £30?
The 3 tenors.
Britain's most expensive burger. These are burgers made from unusually pampered cows.
Well, they weren't that pampered if they end up in a burger, were they?
Next, fish band from what?
School.
Is it hosting the money programme?
Fish banned from the sea. Is this an EU regulation?
The answer is German discos.
Well, they'll find a way in. They always do.
Next. You'll need a triangular what to decorate this sophisticated cake?
You'll need a triangular sophisticated cake decorating apparatus to decorate this sophisticated cake.
Very close.
Trowel.
I'm running my fingers metaphorically through my hair.
Comb.
Well, actually, metaphorically
Brush.
through your hair.
I'm metaphorically not enjoying that very much, Charles.
Curl.
Well, it's fortunate that I'm not doing it with a
Curling tong.
A cake comb is the answer.
Cake comb.
You'll need... Oh, sorry, did you say that?
Comb?
I'm so
I
sorry.
didn't say cake comb. I
Yeah,
said
exactly.
I'm so sorry.
Rules is rules.
What's that used for? Apart, well, obviously combing
It's
cake.
used...
Why do you need to comb a cake?
If a
It's
cake
used to
tries to go out
create-
in the morning with its icing all untied.
Exactly. And also you can do Hitler impressions. Is it cake comb?
It is. And finally, pigeon to get what award?
British comedy.
Long distance.
Is it cake decorating?
No, Paul has got it essentially right. Pigeon to get Animal Athlete Award. Yes, a British pigeon has finally won the Dax Classic, a 500-mile pigeon race.
Yeah.
As usual, Dastardly and Muttley finished a disappointing second. OK, that brings us to the end of tonight's contest, and the final scores are Chris and Ian 11, which means that the triumphant winners with 15 points are Paul and Carol. Congratulations. Just before we go, there's time for our caption competition.
Is it Tony Blair and the Goblet of Fire?
Those are gold, aren't they? They're not just clear and filled with piss.
No, I think they're gold.
OK.
Unless Vera Lynn's been in the room, of course.
There's nothing sacred to you.
Nah. She untouchable.
Oh, no, no. Not in my experience. And I leave you with news that at a Dutch export fair, there's an embarrassing moment when a stolen Edam drops out of a woman's coat. After hearing one show business anecdote too many, Davina McCall finally resorts to hypnotism. And after a late-night party at the United Nations Summit, George Bush starts to wish he'd picked up a different set of car keys. Good night.
Have I Got News For You is back next year here on BBC One. But don't forget you can catch the uncut version of tonight's show tomorrow at 10:55 on BBC Two.
Two to the high street, please.